Let me start at the very beginning, okay? Berkeley Watts, I'd like to give a shout out to him. He was my boss at the Ponca City News back in the day, and he hired me to work in the newsroom, not the newsroom, but the mail room. And that was in the day when they still had the old lead. That's how they printed the paper, was on lead slates, and part of my job was to sweep up the little lead slag or shavings around there, and then we would put addresses on newspapers that went out to the area and take them and drop them off at the post office and with carriers and stuff. So he sort of got me interested early on in journalism. When I went to Oklahoma State, I changed my major to broadcast journalism because one of my teachers said I had a good voice and they were going to put me on the air. And so I worked for both of the radio stations there. Well, I did cover the Oklahoma City bombing, which was, probably the preeminent event in Oklahoma history, at least modern day Oklahoma history. But I covered Tar Creek, which I don't know if people know much about that, but that was one of the most polluted sites in America for many years. They had to move a whole town out and away, and there were these huge slag piles where mining had gone on, and they looked like mountains from a distance, but it was just a pile of chaff, or chat, they called it. And it was polluted. The streams in the area were sort of orangish brown looking. People couldn't live there anymore, and that was a big thing with our state delegation, with Washington, with people in the area. So I did several stories on that, and that made me feel like I accomplished something there too. Plus, I did a story about poultry runoff pollution into the watershed in northeast Oklahoma, mostly from turkey and chicken farms in Arkansas, which my boss at the time called the series Chicken Poo and You, which kind of funny, but it was serious, and I got a Keep Oklahoma Beautiful award for that. John Durkee, who was my news director boss the last place I worked, and I worked with him 4 different stations, 2 in Stillwater and 2 in Tulsa, including the last one, which was the NPR station at Tulsa University, KWGS, and a couple other guys that helped me along the way, Richard Dowdell and Neil Kennedy. Neil Kennedy at the first station I worked at in Tulsa, KBOO, and Richard Dowdell at KRMG, where I worked 25 years. He was there. They both were experienced reporters. They helped me along the way. John has been a friend and a mentor, and also my boss. And then my family, anybody who's married to someone who's a journalist, and you can get called any time of the night or day and told, hey, this is going on, go cover it. Because we cover the big stories, but then we cover the little things too. And so my wife, of course, of 30-some years, Carol,